1 for side select, unless we get to that decisive game number 5. So that's a little bit of something to look forward to if you're hoping for a longer day today. The Trundle taken away from Monki, and we'll see what WE want to prioritize here.
Okay, so a couple of champions I'm thinking about, mid lane in particular. It looks like they're going to immediately snap up the Azir. I wonder what IG are going to be looking to answer with. Probably going to be going for top and jungle here. Rumble for TheShy has been something that he has been picking up more recently. He's 3-2 on the champion so far. And immediately, we're getting the Poppy here. So maybe cutting out some more of those aggressive junglers like the Nefiri that we've kind of been seeing pop up and the Pantheon for Monki.
This is a bit of a flex. Meiko has played this Poppy a little bit as well, so could potentially go down into the support position depending on what the matchups do look like down there, and also, of course, in the jungle role. See if Monki wants to lock something in here, or if they want to try to match something against that Rumble. TheShy has been known to play that Galio quite a bit into this Rumble matchup. Cube is not going to be going for it here on this first rotation, as Monki's going to lock himself in the Skarner.
I wonder if they're trying to bait out that Galio pick, because Galio is not something we've been seeing from Cube all from you know, kind of been seeing from TheShy, but okay, so WE, they have a solid enough front line. I mean, it only is Skarner, but you think about the poke that they're going to have, the range that they have. If you're IG coming into the second fan phase, you have to be thinking about Nautilus. It has been one of Vampire's most impactful champions all season long, and definitely would provide more of that front line that they need to set up for Azir and for this Varus.
Maybe that Jhin for Gala here as we open up that second phase of bans. Right now, you know, IG, they still need to pick something up for Rookie to match up into the Azir. There's a lot of interesting options that they could go into. I know things like LeBlanc have started to rise up in popularity across different regions with that new visual update, of course, and you know, Kali, things of that nature that could potentially be targeted here by Team WE, but it would create a situation maybe where a player like Rookie could be vulnerable against Monki and Vampire, who have really been attacking this mid lane, and Rookie's really going to have to be on his A game in this series if he wants to help IG win this one.
Outside of the bot lane, it has been Rookie who I think has had a few moments in series where he has not been up to that world caliber player that we expect him to be year after year. So as we get into the further parts of this draft here for game number 1, I wonder if WE are trying to get an Orianna out from Invictus Gaming. If that is the case, I think that Leona in this draft actually starts to gain a lot of value, especially when you see some of the immobile carries coming in from Invictus Gaming. It sucks into the Poppy, yes, but I think that ultimate is just too powerful. And now you have the Sylas gone. We see that Nautilus that I was talking about earlier. I feel like this is something that maybe IG can start to prey upon, maybe even utilize that Poppy as a flex.
I mean, we've seen it happen quite a few times over the past couple of series, even in this playoffs, I believe. But the Alistar lock-in would, of course, negate that possibility and leave Rookie that R5 to counter into everything that Team WE have in terms of their draft. Now, WE are looking for a top laner as well as a support. We'll see what they want to play. Of course, they have seen these counter matchups, and they will be, you know, be able to be countered here on both sides.
It could be Ornn top lane. I think Ornn versus the Rumble is fine. Again, we haven't really seen Galio from Cube outside of the regular season, so I kind of am expecting either he's going to have to pull it out here and give us a first time in playoffs, or do something a little bit different. The Ornn is going to be able to lose with grace, and what we're seeing from WE, it is very tough for IG to get in this backline. They have absolutely no way of actually assaulting anybody like this Azir and the Varus without a Rumble ultimate. So in this game, it is going to be so important. We need to watch what Gala or what Meiko and Jiejie are actually able to do here. Feels like they're on a little bit of a timer. I'm going to be watching Drake stacking in this game, because that feels like that is going to be one win condition or one out for IG here in game number 1.
Yeah, these are not, you know, champions that necessarily do a ton of, you know, constant DPS, specifically when you look at the Jhin, but when you could stack up those adaptive forces, when you can get at those stats, when you can get those early dragons, that's where this IG composition really can help snowball against WE. So that is kind of our early versus late dynamic that we are looking at here in game number 1. But Team WE, they've been able to team fight quite well in their current run through some of the best teams that we have here in the LPL, or at least so we thought, as JDG and Top Esports were no match for them so far. We'll see if IG has anything better to say about it here, as we're getting ready for our first matchup of what could be a 5-game series.
You just want it, man. It's just because you're in Korea. You just want to say, like, hey, I'm not actually
Force
up at
everyone else to
5
stay
a.m.
This
local
is great
time.
for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is perfect for you. We can talk about it a little bit later, but a big focus coming into mid lane right here. Our two junglers have been so impactful this season so far, and especially with this Skarner, Monki is going to be very, very kind of looking towards into the mid lane. Very quickly, a look at our predictions. Both of us have WE winning out on tonight, but everybody spread thin as to who is going to be coming out the victor.
This is one of our most like balanced predictions that we've seen, I think, all
Yeah.
play, because nobody really knows what's going on. Some people are really like, buying into the fact that this miracle run, the clock's gonna strike midnight, Pumpkin's gonna reemerge here for Team WE. The other ones, like us, think that maybe this could last a little bit longer. And man, what a story it would be. I predicted a 3-2. We'll see if we do end up getting it here. Top 4 has been secured for both of these teams. However, they still have a lot more left to do if they want to make themselves known in international competition, if they want to really restore their legacy here as premier organizations in the league. It's WE and IG starting right now.
Okay. We have the fans out in force. We are still in Beijing, holding it up in JDG's home arena. So, taking a look, we are getting more experimentation with that Unsealed spellbook. We've been seeing it start to pop up in playoffs after some changes on the most recent patch. Mostly just trying to incentivize you to use as many spells as possible, get as many swaps. And Braum being able to use it so graciously here. He's going to have a lot of really great efficacy coming into this game, playing into a team composition that has the likes of a Jhin as well as this Alistar for the laning matchup. And I'm looking at those runes in particular, not just for Vampire, but a lethal tempo spotted here for Taeyoon. Means that we're going to not necessarily be playing for a poke Varus, but something that's going to go on hit, which again just speaks more to the team fights that we're going to be looking towards.
Yeah, and really make sure that late game is the focus here for both of these teams, or sorry, at least for Team WE, but there are good things going in the early game as well here as they chunk Meiko down to half HP and gain control over this bottom wave. We see Monki currently pathing towards bot lane, so WE will have the opportunity to play aggressive here, especially in the next couple of minutes.
Now, there is a Poppy on IG, and you can kind of see that Jiejie went for Wolves into Gromp. He can actually go for level 3 here after he finishes his blue buff and potentially go down bottom lane. It is on a ward, so they know exactly where Jiejie is. They also have a vision on his Raptors, so it's up to Monki. Is he going to continue to path towards bottom lane and see if Poppy's going to do anything spicy, or does he want to just go for a counter invade? It seems like odds are looking Monki's going to try and intercept Jiejie and stop Poppy from making any of these lanes too unstable.
Looks like just actually back to full clearing situations actually, with Monki going down to the Raptor pit. I mean, he knows that all the camps up there have been taken by Jiejie most likely. As you see, Meiko's done pretty good on Alistar this split. That's something that I'm learning right now.
Jesus Christ, 11 and 2. Damn. Okay. That feels pretty good, yeah, I'd have to say. Getting a lot of chip damage down on a lot of lanes. Cube already taking TheShy down to 10%. And Monki getting ready to come here. Yeah. Now the wave is going to crash. They still have heal.
Great wave position right now here for Team WE. Going in is Monki onto Gala. He already utilized his flash, so that means he's going to go down. It's first blood for Team WE off of a beautifully creative path from Monki.
Yeah, that's early jungle pathing. We said maybe it was going to be around Karis, but if they're going to do it around bottom lane, sure, I'll take it too. Gala flashes in to the Ishtal's impact, and now it is a summoner spell advantage. It's that huge wave that Gala is going to lose access to, and an early advantage going over to Team WE.
And this is what you want to see if you're a WE fan. Not them falling apart just yet against, again, a team that has so many accolades compared to what the players on this blue side roster do possess. Monki's gotten himself off to a good start in terms of the kill column. However, he has not cleared his bottom side jungle. That means Jiejie can come in and bully him just a little bit, using that Ixtal's impact to escape. And now, with this push coming through, after a back to Taeyoon and Vampire, Jiejie is going to be able to have full reign over those Raptors.
Oh, Meiko's got to be careful, though, because he doesn't have very much vision. He now will spot out Vampire, so at least for the time being, WE, they're going to try and protect some of these camps. Ahri does have first move. Karis has to pick up this mid-wave. How much more can IG get?
The flash heroic charge does not find the stun, and Monki's able to flash away from that headbutt pull. So Monki will be able to survive for now, as Rookie has made his way into the bottom side jungle as well. Karis utilizing that teleport to get back to lane could have an impact here as the red buff has been started up. Monki does not have a flash or a smite, which means it will get secured. Another heroic car charge comes forward, and it looks like WE still wants a brawl, but they will not win this one at all as Gala picks up the first kill with a 4th shot. Finally, Taeyoon, though, flashes up the wall and is able to get one back. It's a 1-for-1 overall. Vampire at less than 100 HP, and Karis starting to do some damage.
Wait a minute.
Flash away from that Winter's Bite from Meiko, and now Gala could be in some trouble. Remember, no flash on this Jin means that he could be going down. One more auto from Taeyoon is going to take him down at speed.
What the?
Made for WE, and Meiko will drop. It's a 3-for-1 off of the invade.
They start off 4-1 in this game. It's 5 minutes. We've got 5 kills. The feats of warfare immediately go over to Team WE. Why are we fighting so early on as Invictus Gaming? I get that you want to try to invade for the red buff, and I like the positioning coming out from Meiko, but it is just too aggressive, too early. Maybe a mistake, actually. I want to see if we'll get a replay of that, because I want to watch Vampire's positioning throughout that fight. It turns into a massive boon, 1,000 gold lead here for Team WE. And now Jiejie on the top side of the map. Monki's going to be here soon, and then they know that Poppy's in the area. This could go disastrously if IG are not able to get anything on this dive.
Monki's level 4, but he's on his way up. He's hustling and bustling to try to protect Cube, and this is a tanky Ornn at this point. However, he does not have the call to Forge God, but underneath the tower, it's going to be Monki trying to shove one back in, and finally Cube hits level 6. They're going to knock up TheShy and actually use the Searing Charge to dash back away, knowing that they do not have the DPS to take anybody down, but nicely done by Monki, once again protecting another one of his players. This time it's Cube able to get a free reset.
Okay, but how much more is Cube going to really lose? Because it was a single wave, and TheShy was able to farm it under that. A turret plate now goes over. Oh, Monki's coming back.
However, no stun connected. Cube able to flash away. The turret not in range to take down either TheShy or Jiejie, but now Rookie has come in. He has flash. They are really going for this tower dive, wanting to make sure that it works. Finally, the heroic charge comes through. And long have we awaited, 2 kills activated. Jiejie going to survive with less than 100 HP.
All right, this had to work though, because that was a massive investment from Invictus there. They finally were able to pick up 2 kills. It's onto the Ornn. I really don't think this is all that worth it, because what's going to happen now is Monki's going to have his top side camps and his bottom side camps that are going to respawn here. So again, watch what Meiko does. He bumps Vampire into Rookie and Gala. So he just stops all of this damage from the Ahri and this Jin coming on through. And then you just have all this upfront damage, and there's just no crowd control. There's absolutely nothing for IG to play with. Giving all this gold over to Varus and to the Azir, I think is so punishing for Invictus Gaming. And WE are saying, thank you for the free gift, we'll take that. And you spent a lot of time making this topside dive work, so I think you're still happy with the game state here.
It's been very telegraphed plays from IG so far, where they have a mission that they want to accomplish, and they will not stop it by any length to make sure that it is achieved. And it eventually worked around that topside play. However, WE were able to get a decent amount across the bottom side of the map in response. You now see Taeyoon at 2-0-2, 10 CS lead over Gala as they've rotated up to the mid lane, waiting for this first spawn of the Grubs. And overall, WE feeling very good about this game state, even though IG have the early game composition.
For the time being, look at how they've also put down the lane allocations. Now, part of this is going to have to come down to where we see the wards from Team WE. If they don't put any vision, if they don't help Azir stay stable on the side lane, I think there's a very real possibility with the next few minutes. Maybe Jiejie kind of makes his way onto the top side and they make a dive onto this Azir. But if they can't break this, Ornn's farming in a side lane. You have the same thing happening with Cube, or with this Azir, like we were just mentioning. It's going to be very good for them. As Chance of Corruption goes out, it gets the cleanse out from Gala, which doesn't seem like much, but there's still a lot of crowd control still available for Team WE that potentially catch out this this Jin.
And a lot of those ultimates available still. Vampire has not hit level 6 yet, but the top side of the map from WE looks like they want to go in. The Ornn Horn has been sounded. It knocks up Meiko, does not have the Unbreakable Will. Nicely done by Jiejie to send away one, but the Impale will land back on to the Poppy. Cube going forward to Searing Charge, has singled out Gala, but he still has his flash. 4-shot not doing a ton of damage, but now comes the curtain call. Monki, 200 HP, will go down to the 3rd, and Cube will get hit up by that crit. The Searing Charge comes out, but it's not nearly in time as Jiejie gets the kill, and IG are right back in the lead.
Yeah, IG, they'll say thank you very much for the free gifts, but I'm a little worried here. WE, you didn't need to go and fight for this. We were just talking about how advantageous your lane states were. Cube walked all the way over for that. He was catched a bot wave, and then he moved into mid to have teleport to be able to make this play. They're going to continue to force for these grubs when they are down objectives. They know that their opponents don't have very many ultimates. They don't either, so maybe they want to try to brute force their way through. Ornn is TPing into the top side, so just sacrificing more and more gold.
Monki has Smite. Jiejie, though, has the upgraded one and will be able to get that last grub before flashing on away. So Invictus Gaming get the advantage in the fight around the top side, as well as all 3 of those grubs. So they are right back into the driver's seat here. A 1,000 gold lead has opened up for them, but still a very close game, all things considered, and a fast-paced game as well. Let's not forget that. This is going at a breakneck pace so far.
This is just so much fun. I think this is why we were so excited about this team, or these two teams coming into tonight. Just the fact that, hey, they don't play the cleanest League of Legends, but damn are they not fun to watch. I think IG has had the most entertaining games of the entire year from any team in the LPL. So glad to see that they're delivering on that so far in our 4th place bout here in the LPL. But we come back to this, and we do have a dragon here on the table. Still no dragon taken in this game very early on, which I feel helps out WE. They're a team that has so much scaling in their back pocket. So the longer it takes for IG to actually get these kind of objectives down and in their grasp does mean that it is a longer timer for them to actually get to a good game state.
And it's the top side of the map that currently holds that advantage for IG. TheShy has the teleport to try to make his way into a fight around the dragon if they decide to go for that objective. But for now, he looks like he's comfortable enough. He's bullying out Cube, getting some more waves pop. I think some flashes might have been burned up here as we're duking it out up here on that top side of the map. They know that they're in isolation, so can just continue to hammer at each other. And as I say that, just the visual bug, those flashes now just off of cooldown.
It's really tough for WE now to really walk in. If they ever spot Jiejie, which they'll now know with the scuttle going down, they do not want to play against this Poppy. Has it already completed Sundered Sky, 10.5 minutes in. Got to be very, very wary about walking into the river. Monki is in a very deep position. Something we've seen from him very much in this season. They catch out Monki.
Yeah, remember that steadfast presence does not help the Ixtal's impact, and Jiejie is isolated in a 1v4, and the shutdown will go the way of Taeyoon, who is now 3-0-2 on this Varus, and that means that WE control the trade.
They get the first dragon. They'll be able to also pick up this mid wave. Good job from WE, and creative pathing, the name of the game for Monki. Coming up clutch. Teleported out of this.
Down just yet. They finally secure the smite. The question is now, can they get out? Oh, what a pulverize from Meiko. And it goes right over the equalizer of TheShy, who's teleported in. And now looking for a massive flank. He flashes in, and it's going to be Gala to pick up the first kill. The curtain call will take a second. And Vampires the blast cone out away. On the other side of things, this Monki dropping. And Invictus Gaming say, we don't care about the dragon. We'll just win the fight.
Great punish coming in from Invictus, recognizing that when Cube teleported for that first set of grubs, that was just a play. They knew that they had teleport advantage. Good punish again. Now, can WE get more? There was 2 plates now going over to Cube. He's probably just going to end up going down here to Jiejie, which, if you are IG, while the objectives have been kind of wishy-washy for them, they're 50-50 split so far in this early game, they, I think, have been able to play the map a little bit better than their opponents and are starting to come out ahead in this early game.
Yeah, it's 2 fights won in a row, and going back to this replay, I mean, with Jiejie down, the fact that WE were still able to make this work is a credit to TheShy, but also a big credit to Meiko here on this Alistar for setting up the play.
It just takes too long. I like this being able to force. You now know that there's no Shurima shuffle from Karis. Like you said, Meiko, massive flash pulverize to find WE in their backline. We had said from draft that it was going to be tough for IG to find a traditional 5-on-5 where the access to the backline was going to be very limited. When you are able to play very creatively and kind of put WE in a really tough position, plays like that end up saving you the game. So with the team that has 3 grubs, I want to see how much they can actually get on side lanes, because you are playing into Azir. You do have this Ahri, who is not going to be as notorious as a split pusher, but how much is that going to actually become a reality here in this game? Turret plates have fallen, and maybe they look for a dive onto Cube. No one is in the area to help.
There's another wave crashing in just a bit, and I think after those Krugs go down here for Jiejie, it'll be an Ornn next on the clear path, unless Cube gets on out of there. So rookie going to be able to pick that one up as you see that pummel squad of Jiejie and Meiko, like we talked about at the top of the show, coming together here. But WE know that they need to try to make a play on the other side. But Karis does not land that Emperor's Divide and will be forced to take the Walk of Shame back out. Unless TheShy has anything to say about it, he throws another Electro Harpoon out, but does not want to go into a 1v3.
Well, WE have now invested so much into this top lane, like you have noted. We're going again for this play.
Impale lands on TheShy, however, dual teleports are coming in. The Rumble will drop, the shutdown goes towards Karis. And now Rookie has to Spirit Rush on out, but look at the damage he's able to do on the Vampire. Taking one back on his way out of things, as it will be a retreat for both teams for now, with the Rift Herald just about to spawn.
Why are we losing gold here? WE, we don't need to fight for this. Please, I'm begging you guys. There's a Herald like you were just mentioning. Gala's going to be able to pick up this turret. So all in all, that was 2 turrets for IG, an investment of summoner spells, and we're still making a top play.
No flash, no ult here for Rookie. Might have been overextended on the side lane. However, Monki does not have any hard CC with that Impale down. And so will be Rookie able to escape. Mid-tower secured for Invictus Gaming, as they now can make their way towards the Herald as well.
Guys, I promise you, if we just take a breath, stop ourselves from making a play for like 10 seconds.
What are you talking about?
The
This
game
is
is
the LPL.
good.
That's not
The game
what
is
we do
playable.
here.
Oh, it's
This
crazy
is-
as our game, but WE, man, like we can slow it down, and this is the most unfortunate timing of a recall. Cube, just give up the turret, brother. Just give up the turret.
Or just get the wave. I've been watching some Los Ratones. Maybe this is the strat. Instead, you know, you're not worth much gold here. Let's see who lands that final blow. Maybe it'll be Gala again, jumping up to 5, 2, and 1, as that was essentially an inevitable death coming through from this Ornn, who's now 0, 4, and 0.
But who's gonna match Gala? Gala's just now gone 2 turrets in entirety for himself. Rookie got the bottom lane turret and then TP'd for the top play. IG are coming out ahead due to WE rushing the game and trying to rush, they're tripping over their own steps, trying to make plays happen all around the map. WE, they should recognize that we have an Azir. Let's get Azir to 2 items. Let's get him his gold on a side lane, and then we can worry about trying to make a play. Dragon's going to be spawning in 40 seconds here. Does WE opt for another fight now that they know that they have flashes coming up for a player like Karis, and maybe they can try to make something happen around mid, but they have no priority on any of these lanes right now.
You know, in broadcasts, we often talk about how nerves can be a factor, especially as you get towards later stages of postseason play, specifically for teams like WE, who don't have a ton of experience, and maybe we're seeing some of that here. In terms of just the incredible aggression that we're seeing out of some of their players, and it could result in Monki going down as well. He has to flash away, but as we were talking about earlier on in the season when Monki first joined this WE roster, a lot of the criticism that we had towards him was, yeah, he goes for a lot of plays and he starts a lot of fights, but sometimes it's not at the right time. I feel like we're seeing some of that here in this lower bracket semifinal so far.
Maybe this just might be a game where, hey, we're getting rid of Skarner, we're getting rid of Varus, one of Gala's most played champions this season, so This is that faded game part of Fearless where we're saying, okay, look, we're getting rid of some pretty important champions. Obviously, winning would be nice, but I think part of it is, like you were saying, part of those playoff jitters. I think it's weird to have them so far deep into this playoffs, especially when you've already taken down the #1 and the #3 seed coming into playoffs.
That is true. I mean, technically, this is WE's easiest opponent in the lower bracket yet, right? Like, they haven't faced off against, they've only had top tier contenders. I mean, if we want to start instigating a little bit, right? Like,
so comfort breeds weakness. They're like, okay, it's just the 6
it's just
seed.
the 5. Yeah, just the 5. We're fine. We took the 1 seed down. We could beat it. We basically won the split already. This is their victory.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. Not yet, guys. You got 3 more best of 5s to go through. We'll see if they can come back from this first game, as WE are currently down about 4,500 gold after they were the ones to get out to that early lead. Now remember, they do have the late game scaling composition, which will eventually help them out, but they're a long way from it. But it still looks like they want to try to find this fight, as Gala has been singled out. He does have both of his summoners available, but he flashes right into the Ornn Horde as Q finally gets on the board. But now TheShy's teleported in. It's another really nice knock up here for Jiejie as he tries to escape with that steadfast presence. The Glacial Fissure going to lock him down as Karis comes in for with a teleport, but he gets headbutted away by Meiko. And the chase is now in for Team WE. They lock down TheShy. It's Karis to get another kill, and it's going to be a 2-0 for your blue team.
Okay, I mean, sure, we got Gala, we got the flash out from Rumble and from this Jhin, but think about what we're losing on this play. Otacon spawns in 45, Dragon's going to be spawning in 3, and for both of these upcoming objectives, Azir will no longer have Flash, which makes it so easy now for IG in future plays to look for him with the Rumble ultimate with Meiko. This is a great punish, I think, coming in from WE. We kind of see them playing around. Great vision toggle from the observers here. Another flash from Gala that ends up getting punished, like we saw early on into the game. But I'm just thinking about future ramifications here, and I just don't think it's worth it. The shutdown went on to Ornn, and now Karis has no summoner spells on the Azir.
You know, if those kills end up being the difference maker, you know, we'll eat our words. But for now, it just reduces the gold lead slightly without any objectives to fight for, and no turrets taken either off of that play. So that is where we are maybe critical of, despite WE going for that 2-for-0, maybe it's not considered worth it at this point. You know, they did get the flash out of Gala. That is big. We'll see if that can continue to become impactful, as he has been the lead carry for this team so far. You know, in the leaderboard with five kills, I should say, in that column. And can they continue to target him is going to be the question, as now Rookie might be the focus here around the bottom lane. The Otacon has spawned. WE would be very bold to try to go for it, but that's not going to stop them from trying to make a play here with the Rift Herald being spawned by Jiejie. I think it might have just ended up timing out.
They didn't know that they were going to deploy here, so W have a couple of options. If you were IG, you're saying, thank God no one got picked here. There was no fine for them, because if WE were able to make that play onto Rookie, that might just be an Otacon start from them. They can have Cube teleport over. They know that TheShy doesn't have his summoner spell, so we can make a numbers advantage play. They're going to teleport, and they're going to continue to do what I was just talking about. Look for Rookie.
Howard Blast Cone helping Monki close that gap, as Rookie has his flash and his ultimate. Going to try to buy as much time as possible for the rest of his team to arrive. You already see Jiejie and TheShy quickly approaching. Rookie's able to rejoin the rest of his team and land a charm on the Vampire. And the Ornn does not find a single member of Invictus Gaming. Now the Equalizer has come out, and the re-engage can begin from IG. It's going to be Cube completely singled out. Meiko doing a ton to soak up all the damage needed with that Unbreakable Will. And IG find 2 kills right back.
Why have we not just sent earlier onto Rookie? He only uses his ultimate and his flash, and that means it is multiple members of WE going down. That'll be the Otacon for Invictus Gaming. And this game, aside from the first opening minutes, has looked Invictus dominated all game long.
And it continues to be WE wanting these fights. They want all the smoke so far in this game 1, but IG doing a good job at being able to respond and come back and really make impacts across the map. Again, just not being able to burn much out of Rookie until it was far too late.
I will say, Grapes, if there was ever a champion to try to never gank, LeBlanc is one of them. Rookie is another one. That's really tough to see, and I think you can kind of see in part of the setup, right? Like Vampire, he has the smite, so he's trying to get ready for them to be able to make a contest on the Otacon, but he is so slippery on this Ahri, and Cube gets knocked out, but that's kind of the rest of the play. We're overforcing. Taeyoon's nowhere in position, and so it'll be third dragon of the game being started here for WE. Cube's going to be able to walk over, but there's still some summoner spells missing from WE.
They want to try to pick up this second Drake. It's burning down rather quickly, and Jiejie's not in the area, so it will be WE securing that objective. But now it is IG generating mid lane control. Try to push that wave into the tier 2 turret down there, as WE have been cut off just a little bit. As this red buff gets started up, it could be an avenue for an engage. Jiejie throwing out that buckler, already doing a ton of damage, and the blast cone has to be used to try to just escort WE out to safety, as it will be that red buff secured here by Jiejie. Cube does not land the knockup with the searing charge, and WE just scrambling and making not enough progress towards the mid lane tier 2, as Gala's almost going to take it down with just that 4th shot.
They'll get it on this wave. I feel like IG should have just been more content with saying, hey, we don't really care about the red buff. It is a fake objective for us. We're here to take another turret. That'll be their 4th turret of the game. They can easily move into this top side and continue to cut Monki out from his jungle camps. There is a massive lead that we have not been talking about. It has been between Jiejie and Meiko, 2 EDG prodigies now coming into this series. And for Jiejie in particular, he has been the rock for this team. You can kind of see it now reflected, a 50 CS lead. That is almost 10 to 15 camps in advantage for this Poppy. And that has opened up a 2-level lead alongside the experience that he's getting from the Otacon.
We talk a lot about a lot of the inconsistencies that Invictus Gaming have had throughout their season. You know, maybe why they shouldn't be called a super team or don't deserve to be called a super team being in 5th place. But I feel like Jiejie, not often a part of that. He's, you know, really been a solid contributor for this organization, you know, finally making his way onto a team after, you know, with a lot of stars after kind of being jailed a little bit last year. Is that fair enough to say?
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
yeah, look, I've been making the joke that IG and RNG last year, all of those players, they get a pass. Same thing with EDG. Though all 3 of those teams in 2024, if you were on those rosters, those were not your fault in particular, unless you're Vampire. But Vampire's made a name for himself so far, and Jiejie's trying to redeem himself after what was a very, very disappointing Edward Gaming split in 2024. He's doing that so far. Already made top 4 in split 2.
And doing it against, you know, somebody like Monki, who shadowed him a little bit on as a part of that EDG team back in the day.
Uh-oh.
Now we're going to see another engage come through. A teleport very early from TheShy is going to be forced an early flash here, as it's going to be another shuffle coming through from Karis, as just an over-aggressive play from Invictus Gaming will result in their top laner going down. Gala gets knocked up by the Ornhorn, has both of his summoner spells available, holding them for any further aggression, as though it was Invictus Gaming looking to make a play, but it ends up coming right back to bite them, as now WE have control and can try to take down this mid-tier 1.
What else can they grab, though? WE, they're starting to get pinched on.
Yeah, Meiko lands a knockup, but Cube is just too tanky at this point. Remember, he does not have the Ornhorn anymore, though, and that means Jiejie is going to be able to be taken very low. He dashes in. Oh, it's a 2-man impale here for Monki, and it takes down the Poppy and forces Meiko to flash on out. Gala and Rookie still very tanky, still very full HP here for their side, but it means that that's 2 kills down for WE. They can start up this Baron.
Yeah, you've got on-hit Varus, you've got this Azir. Sure, why not? Let's rip the Baron. I thought that was going to be the play with TheShy going down. Ultimate coming up for Rookie in 5 seconds. Low HP bars for some of the members of Team WE. Can Gala and Rookie make it happen?
Only onto Cube. The 4-shot takes him down to 500 HP. Exhaust onto Rookie. Baron secured by Team WE. Now can Gala and Rookie buy enough time for the rest of their team to arrive? In goes Karis. He dashes forward. The blast cone gonna buy some time as Vampire dies first. Gala
oh my God.
does not fall. He takes over the blast cone, but Monki not gonna be able to get the angle right. It's a double kill for Gala. And now TheShy and Meiko have arrived. Cube, Taeyoon, and Karis still on the run. The Baron secure, but IG get a breath of life.
No one ends up going down after the Baron. Rookie and Gala. We asked the questions, and they answered there. They find 2 kills. They get almost every single summoner spell out from Team WE in that play. And it's the Baron, but it might just be a holdover here because it is still IG with 3 grubs. It is still IG who will be able to take their resets, get back out of the map, and contest for this next dragon in 40 seconds. And a great play coming out from Invictus to hold their position in this game.
It's oftentimes when you're the 2 backline carries available and you're the only one here who could try to stop something in terms of an objective, it seems pretty hopeless a lot of the time. As we're going to start off with why that ended up being the case. As TheShy had a little bit of a noob. Yeah, I think you could just say that.
He just wasted a lot of time. You know, that guy was he's a screensaver. He's there to distract you for a little bit, you know, take some time. And while it does lead into 2 separate kills here, the part that I'm going to be watching towards the end of this is the investment of Karis and Taeyoon utilizing their flashes. This ended up being a really great cleanse coming out from Gala, although it seems like maybe he got pushed over into the impale. But the mid turret going down for WE is nice. You still have 3 members with this Baron. They're going to waste it contesting for this dragon, and an impale that goes sideways. WE! What are we doing, guys?
Yeah, that's a big engage tool. Now off the books for Team WE. Jiejie gonna be forced to face check for now, but Vampire, he's gonna go down before the fight begins potentially. He gets taken down by the burn of TheShy, but it's smashed by Rookie, getting caught out here by the Varus. As it's now a 4v4 that is opened up. Taeyoon was yeeted away here by the Keeper verdict, but now the curtain call has come out, and it's gonna force WE to go on the defensive, at least for now. The 4-shot only gonna find Cube, but the Dragon is still full HP.
Okay, Cube, no ultimate. Azir still has that Emperor's Divide. Is this the play for IG? I think they recognize that they don't have a lot of space. If for some reason this play is still going on in 30 seconds, Rookie will be able to be here in time. He will have that Spirit Rush. Guys, just take the Dragon. We're already wasting our Baron. We only have 20 seconds left on this objective. With Cube with Vampire actually teleporting back into this play. That'll mean IG have to give this up. I just don't know why we're making the investment. Why are we so invested into trying to grab this dragon from either squad? Go back to your waves. This is going to be the weirdest recall of, or the weirdest replay of all time. I just...
I want to go back and double check. Wow. Okay. Okay, I was like, where did Rookie go? You know, I didn't see him die. That's because he got immediately deleted from my screen. And thanks to Taeyoon and thanks to a really nice Horn from Cube as well.
Got to shout out Vampire. He gave his life with that ultimate to make sure that was happening. So glad that we got that trio working together. Taking a quick pit stop, we're at 30 minutes here. Dragon Soul Point secured for Team WE and level 15 for Q, which means he is starting to give out those Masterwork items like candy. First one going over to Karis will have that upgraded Gnasher's Tooth. So I wonder what other players are going to be grabbing hold of those items. That gold lead that we're seeing is only 2,500, but I think what we've seen so far in this game is that gold lead kind of doesn't matter. It is about the cleanliness of play. It is about the setup beforehand, and I feel like IG have had a stronger grasp on this game. But we said from draft that they are the early game composition, at least compared to their opposition, and that might not be enough for them in this game.
That late game starting to show for WE as well. Not only the ornaments, but Taeyoon now 4 completed items on this Varus, including a Jock Show, by the way, which is going to make him harder to one-shot for somebody like Rookie. Even Gala here with a 4-shot, you know, that extra threshold could really be impactful, as the damage is still there from the on-hit Varus. You only need a couple of items to really start to allow that percent health to do its job. Deadly Flourish lands on the Monki, as he might have overextended a little bit. He's already at half HP. That Baron not up for another minute and 30, so wouldn't be the complete disaster if he did go down, but does not want to give his life over for free, so a retreat is in stow, and that means that IG have tempo across the map to push down the mid lane.
This should be IG now setting up again 3 grubs. They could try to siege for the inhibitor. If they don't want to look for that, they are just making sure that they'll have priority and that they'll be able to have setup for the Baron in a minute's time. WE, I am kind of looking at this though. They're going to have all of their summoner spells back up. Everybody has their flash. And in particular, Monki, because of the disadvantage that he finds himself in this game, he is very, very squishy. He only has the Undying Despair and 76 stacks, or 76 HP coming in from this Heartsteel. This is absolutely worthless at this point. He might have 4,000 HP, but he has like maybe 100 resistances of both, which means he gets shredded immediately by Rookie, by TheShy.
Very quickly jumping onto my soapbox. Heartsteel on Skarner in professional play. I'm not a fan. It's very hard to get.
You just want to hate on Razork, and that's okay. I understand.
It feels good when you get the clinks, but unless you're getting a bunch of those clinks, it doesn't. Just go like Locket or something. I don't know. Just go something else. The number.
I might agree with you.
Number big looks good, but man, it hurts to see 76 stacks 32 minutes into the game. That's all I'm saying.
That is true. That is 100% true. The only reason I would disagree with you is if WE win, then that means that it was the right choice. That's just how it works.
They're losing right now. You know?
True. Maybe Monki gets caught out here, and maybe the Heartsteel stacks were not worth it.
And that's the thing as well. When you're like on a defensive, you don't end up auto-attacking that much as a Skarner. As got to hold that thought for a little bit as the play has been opening up with Rookie split pushing, allowing for that bot lane tier 3 turret to go down. Cube has been sent to match back from base as the Chain of Corruption is dodged away from by a nice headbutt from Meiko. Baron buff is now alive though, and that means that Rookie's going to have to head back and rejoin the rest of his team.
That feels like that should have just been their timer, honestly. You already had a Zir in position. Why not just start up the Baron? They're going to call their bluff though. Teleport coming in from Rookie. A lot of vision invested by WE. You can kind of see that they have some vision in the red side of IG's jungle right now. Maybe we see Skarner. Now, if they come back and try to sweep any of this, IG could find Monki. He has no Ishtal's impact. Dragon spawning in 45. WE, I asked you of this 20 minutes ago. Slow down, take a breath, wait for the objectives to come to you. You will now have Soul in 30 seconds.
As IG went for a reset, that means that WE have control around this kid for now. Does it mean that Monki wants to start up the Baron?
Go for it.
The answer is yes. However, it will not burn quick enough. The rest of IG will be here and will want to force a 5v5 team fight 34 minutes into this game. The Baron's already at 6,000 HP, waiting for Jiejie to try to get into the pit, but it's already burning very low.
Look at Meiko!
They're looking for the fight instead. Karis gets charmed, and Jiejie steals the Baron. Somehow the Azir still able to live, and the rest of WE will not by a landslide. It is Invictus Gaming coming in, punishing the aggressive play of Team WE. And they will be able to pick up 3 members and counting with Cube on the opposite side of the map.
They won't be able to end the game. Good job from Cube. He picks up this minion wave. There's a top lane play. He's going to try and teleport out. Okay, so both of the solo laners, it is a full-on ace. WE are not able to get anything done around this Baron. Why not just wait for the soul? That is going to be the question that they have on their minds as they go back to the drawing board here for game number 1. IG will pick up the dragon, they'll get the Baron, 4 kills, and almost all of these structures in their favor as a gold lead compounds to more than 10,000 here.
Should definitely be that mid lane inhibitor. We'll see if they want to stay for another. TheShy and Jiejie not here with the rest of Invictus Gaming, but Rookie with the Baron wave is able to pick up that 3rd tier 3 tower. Only the top lane inhibitor remains. That of the Nexus turrets at this point in the base of Team WE. Your underdogs end up falling in this team fight. And it starts with this huge charm from Rookie that just completely threads the needle.
Oh man, and Karis even had the Unbreakable up. How does this get to 110 HP, by the way? And you have 2 smites! 2 smites! Vampire had his, Monki had his. Massive mistake from WE coming on through. And like the end of this replay is just going to be them kind of moving on through and finishing out their teleports, but
if I'm not mistaken, I think the Unsealed spellbook smite is just 600, and I don't. If that's
it's
correct,
based on number of swaps. It's based on number of swaps. So if you make 6 swaps, you get access to the 1200 damage smite.
I'm curious as to if Vampire misjudged the amount of damage that was on that smite key. I'd have to go back and watch
Dude, if you guys can't count to 2400 on Baron, you deserve to lose this game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Monki and Vampire. I hate to do that to you guys, but they're going to have probably a lot more questions on their mind and a lot more regrets coming out of this game number 1. IG will have the Baron for the next 30 seconds. This is going to be WE holding on, and a Azir turret has come up, but have to imagine 3 grubs as well with this Baron. It becomes very easy for IG to siege and look for the end here.
It'll be all 3 inhibitors down, and as super minions with that Baron buff will crash in at least for 1 wave. It'll be up to WE to try to save their game number 1 of this lower bracket semifinal. Gala issuing out a ton of poke here with the Deadly Flourish. Taeyoon going to try to match here with the Piercing Arrow of his own. But now the gold lead has opened up to nearly 10,000. IG might have the early game composition, but they currently have themselves a massive lead here in this first game. And still have these super minions continuing to march their way down. They're going to clear these waves out. Now look for another engage. Rookie finds him the Charm of the Karis, but the rest of his team's here to defend. Call the Fourth God only lands on a Meiko. And now it's just a trade of those ultimates. Karis forces to go gold, and Jiejie's going to try to get in there. The Equalizer doing it so much. There's the shuffle. Not enough to certainly take down anybody of W, but finally Vampire will go down. It's TheShy picking up the kill, but Meiko falls on the other side. TheShy will now go down as Monki finds it, and it's a numbers advantage right now for WE. However, Gala and Rookie still alive, still do so much DPS, and can continue to play aggressive here with those super minions starting to charge. But with those 2 kills going over, it'll be IG on the retreat.
Okay, Grapes, real quick, do we take Copium or are we hitting reality?
I don't know, man. I'm level 17 or not. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer, but I'm not there just yet.
Triple super minion waves now coming on through. A ton of gold and experience being funneled. We are getting into that point of the game where gold starts to matter a little bit less. Rookie has looked so good on this arc, dodging multiple ganks all game long, and now trying to thread the needle multiple times onto Karis. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because this is finally where I feel WE get that front-to-back team fight that they've been waiting for all game long. Taeyoon and Karis get to plant their feet, let the Sand Soldiers and the arrows fly, and they're able to win in a team fight around their base. They make the 1 base defense to stop IG from outright winning the game here. 37 minutes in. Dragon spawning in a minute. Baron spawning in a minute and a half. I don't know if WE are going to be allowed to leave their base. That's the only issue here. And hell, they'll get some more items. It's a GA completed for Taeyoon.
It will likely be another Dragon, another Baron taken by IG, and then what could be another big fight that, again, will likely take place in the Team WE base. I can't imagine a situation where Monki goes on a secret mission to try to steal either of those objectives away. Although they would be, of course, very helpful. It's just too hard to do when there's 3 inhibitors down, and that's all you can do. That's all you can focus on, making sure your Nexus does not fall. And IG, it looks like maybe they don't want to wait until those objectives spawn just yet. Gala's posturing very aggressively here in the mid lane, but with a recall coming through from Meiko, they're going to do it the old-fashioned way. This is the team with experience. This is the team with multiple international titles in their back pocket. So they're going to take it slow and steady to close out this game 1.
4 world champions, 2 MSIs thanks to Gala, and 9 LPL domestic titles across all 5 of these Invictus Gaming roster players. We expect for them to be able to kind of clutch out in moments like this. It's only game 1. You know, you don't have to expend all of your energy. You're expecting them to kind of play out a long, drawn-out series between these two, especially as the 5th and 6th seed. But when we talk about what IG's season has looked like as a whole, it has been filled with a lot of ups and downs. So it'll be the Dragon going over, 6th Dragon of the game. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think we're seeing a 7th. But if we do, then god damn it, man, IG continue to deliver on the most entertaining games of the split.
Now here's the question. The Baron has been started up by Invictus Gaming. Do WE just want to give it up, or do they want to flip the game right here, right now? Neither soul laner is here, but they're going to send a teleport in from both of them. But the Baron is going to get melted way too quickly and smited away by Jiejie, and they're able to go on the escape. So that's 2 big cooldowns used. However, there's no real need for the teleport if you're just going to be trapped in your base, which is what WE will likely be for the next 3 minutes' time.
The problem that's going to now arise for Team WE is that they need to push these waves out, and because they don't have teleport, look, their inhibitors are going to be coming up in a minute's time in the top and bottom lane wave, but they still need to be able to push them out to stop the Baron waves are going to be coming through, and the 3 grubs that we've been talking about all game long here. And remember, if they find a kill, they have Otacon, so they have more of those combat buffs. They're getting a ton of experience and adaptive force. So even with those ornaments, you might be thinking that I think the adaptive force that they're getting from Invictus might actually kind of equalize some of it. So 7,000 gold, 6 dragons here in game number 1, 41.5 minutes. I can't believe this is the way that we're going to be taking our game number 1 of this series.
It felt like it should have been over a while ago, but WE doing a good job to keep themselves in this one, at least for now. All eyes go back to the WE of old, the one where it was Taeyoon and then the rest of them, as he has to be the big factor in terms of winning these team fights for his team. Full build right now with the Guardian Angel in his inventory, as all the inhibitors are beginning to respawn, but IG should have the opportunity to take them down relatively easily. The question is, when do Team WE want to force that engage? When do they want to press that go button, and will it be too late?
Another inhibitor falls. Jiejie is now sitting in mid. There's an Azir turret here. But the wave is getting pulled apart. Rookie not able to find anything.
Kills away here from Vampire. That's a big cooldown. Not going to be on issue here for the support of Team WE. The mid lane inhibitor has gone down. The only one left standing is back up to the top side, and so that is where IG will likely go next, as they can continue to play the waiting game here with Baron buff still in their hands for another 60 seconds. And Gala, massive as well. He's full build. He's got a Guardian Angel, and WE know they have to go forward. They find the call to fourth god, but it's only onto Gala, as it's followed by the equalizer of TheShy. That's 2 top laner to cool down its ultimate down, as IG will continue the push.
All right, but look at how fast. Look at how much ability haste this Ahri has. Rookie's ultimate is back up. It's been 30 seconds, and it is up and available, so you can look for an aggressive play yet again. It'll mean that it is 4 ultimates to 4 here. IG going to continue to batter down these waves. Super minions now arriving in bottom lane. But WE, they can very easily, they can take a little bit of damage and cycle out these members, regenerate some of their HP. But it's about those turrets now starting to get chipped away at.
Oh, nice
flash away from Cube.
Yeah, he dodged a lot of CC there with both the flash and the Bellows Breath. He's going to keep himself alive, but he does not have his ultimate available just yet. He gets charmed up again, knocked up by 2, as Meiko goes in with a headbutt pull, but forces another heal as he runs back out to safety. After such aggressive plays early on in this game, now both IG and WE are waiting to pull the trigger, but now they finally do.
Monki!
Standing away too, but Jiejie's gonna match him, but it's not gonna be enough. Meiko goes down first, but TheShy is cooking him. Goes golden, and the fourth shot will find Vampire. Cube will go down. It'll be Monki shoved right back in, and IG will finally find the fight that they need in Team WE's base. It's a 4v2, but Taeyoon is still alive. Cube didn't end up going down. Will this be the end?
TheShy's going to be able to teleport. Woo! It's a flash out from Taeyoon. More members. IG are looking for the end on this one.
Cube trying to clear the wave. There's still too many super minions. Taeyoon gets knocked up. He gets pinned by the deadly flourish, and the Guardian Angel has been popping the Call of Force. Got knocked up on the 2. Can Taeyoon live? Gala will shut him down with a 4th shot. And it took 44 minutes. It took back and forth base defenses, but IG say, still got it. And they're going to take game number 1 over WE.
I got so excited because Monki landed an impale onto Jiejie as the keeper's verdict was landing on him. I thought he was going to pull Jiejie into his fountain and potentially change the game there. He lands a little bit short, and just like the rest of his team, WE are unable to get over the hump there. They had some good looks in the early game, but way too much fast play for a team that we wanted to see scaling, and ends up kind of shooting themselves in the foot early on here into the series.
When you're the late game composition and it's Monki starting and forcing all these engages, and it results in IG picking up so much gold, getting themselves that lead that turns into all these objectives and all this pressure, you have to wonder if maybe some of that aggressiveness was toned down just a little bit. Would WE have been in a different position, especially considering how long they were able to keep that game alive with the composition that they had. But at the end of the day, it was not enough, and it looks like our veterans have gotten the better of our newcomers here to this top 4 stage. Hey, IG, they've played, these players have played in so many top 4s. They've been in all of these high pressure situations before. They knew how to lock that game down, and they did it effectively to a textbook level of perfection.
That was, I think, for the most part, really well played coming in from Invictus Gaming. You look at how they played the map, you think about what they were willing to trade. It didn't feel like, while they were the early game team, they did have some mistakes, but Jiejie in particular really led the charge in this game number 1. And rookies Ari looked incredible. I've had a lot of reservations. I know that I've been, kind of really excited to see Rookie now on a team that maybe can match his caliber, which we haven't seen from him in years past and rosters of old. But he has, I think, been one of the weaker members sometimes, but I think most of that weakness has come from his laning phase. And if you're going up against Karis, if you're not going to get pushed, we're going to see a game where we come into a 20, 35-minute mark, and Rookie is going to be able to really flourish.
It was a great showing all around for IG and for Team WE. I feel like even though there was a lot that we didn't like necessarily about how their early game went, the flashes and the promises of that miracle run were still there at times.
Yeah.
I was wondering, hey, is the plot armor going to be so strong that WE are still going to somehow be able to win this game? Looks like not just yet, or not that strong, but there's still a lot of League of Legends left to play. It's only game number 1 of what could be, again, a 5-game series if things go the distance like both of these teams have done so far in the lower bracket. It's just going to have to be WE showing a little bit more, maybe showing a little bit more patience as they can finally, take a deep breath, head back to their rooms, and reevaluate what their game plan is for this second matchup.
I am muddying the stats, but I think it is for a funny reason. The only time these two teams have lost in this playoffs bracket is 0-3. So, and if both of them are, they're coming through the lower bracket. All right. I know you and I were expecting a 3-1. We're obviously expecting the series to go a little bit longer than a 3-0, but if there was ever a chance, I think, especially when you're talking about your next opponent being BLG, we do kind of need to see a step up in performance.
That is true, because I don't think we're favoring either of these teams if it's a 5-gamer. Like they show a little bit of weakness here or there, show some mistakes that come out, but if one of these guys are able to really steamroll the other, maybe that positive momentum can be enough, and maybe BLG will end up being challenged a little bit by one of these squads. But there's still a lot of time until we get to that point. But right now it is IG that are in the lead as we're awaiting, some of our post-game stats and the like. If we do have some time right now, Alk, I think we can tie back our history here between Invictus Gaming and Team WE, the original rivalry in the LPL. We have a trivia game that has been created by, of course, our product lead in Kelsey Moser. And we're going to get started on showing up a few questions here or there when we do have some time. This is the first one here that we will, I think, dive into.
We're teasing it for you guys. We're going to do the post-game graphics first, so you can be like, haha, look at how much damage Gala did, and then we can go back.
Yeah. Well, they did do a lot of damage. I'll say that.
Damn. Good job. You're seeing all the damage dealers really step up here. TheShy obviously having his global taunt, as he normally does. Rookie having a 28% damage share game. Early predictions for who our MVP of this game number 1 is going to be.
I think it has to be Gala. I do remember, though, a game where Gala played Jin and he popped off and they gave it to Meiko instead because of some of his good engages. So
I feel like Gala mechanically may have had a lot of bad clicks this game.
That is fair. Big number though. I don't know.
True. 30% of your team's damage is a very big number. If I'm going to give any of my nominations, I think very early on, Jiejie obviously doing a very good job. Rookie has been playing most of this game very well. I think that those are two that had pretty highlight plays. If we're talking about like the ones that are probably going to get the most replays, and it's probably Rookie on his Ahri.
It was a very well-rounded performance, though, from Invictus Gaming. We saw some mistakes on a couple of different sides here. Obviously, Gala with some positioning errors, especially in the early game. We saw that teleport from TheShy that resulted in, what was a advantageous fight ending up being for Team WE. But I think overall everybody really did play their role, as this was a weird one here too.
I mean, you might say that this is Vampire's fault, but also Rookie did land the charm onto Karis. And then he does it again onto Varus later, right? Like, that's tough. That's tough. I would be pretty sad if my Braum isn't able to take a Varus or an Ahri charm here. Look at there it is again. Somehow it's Karis, despite there being a Braum unbreakable up.
Yeah, a couple of really nice charms here for Rookie. The more I'm watching back these replays, the more I think I'm on your side. Or in terms of the highlight plays, definitely was Rookie. Jiejie had a good game too on the Poppy though. I don't know. There's going to be a lot more opportunities, though, here for these Pogs, for these MVPs, so still. Wait,
I want to watch Monki here. Watch what happens here.
No, this was great. If he got Jiejie into the fountain, oh man, that would have been crazy. It looks like the rest of the fight didn't, go well for WE either way, but it kind of at least had a little funny moment.
Yeah. All right, so this is going to be the end of the highlights. Let's very quickly get into our trivia, because the POG is going to be coming up very soon afterwards. Both starting rosters tonight have one player who is part of the opposite team in the past. Name them very easily. Vampire, who's part of Invictus Gaming last year, so we have to find an Invictus Gaming player that was on WE. I'm going to say...
I'm going to say Meiko, just because I feel like he's been around a long time.
Meiko has only been on like 3 teams his entire career. Maybe it's Jiejie. I'm going to say maybe it's Jiejie. Just because if this is like a trick question, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm locking it in. I know one of them. I don't know the other. Let's see.
I don't know how the answers work here. Is
TheShy? TheShy?
Oh! Okay, hold up.
Wait, he was a streamer.
That doesn't. I feel like I'm getting scammed now.
Kelsey, I know you're watching. That's rude.
That's kind of I feel like we fudged the numbers on this one. This is a wording problem with the question.
This is like the technically question here.
I did say to her that this was going to probably be more closer to MOBA trainer, or it's going to be like a technicality. All right, there it is.
Rookie does get the player of the game for his Ahri performance. A lot of really nice charms that he was able to land. Karis got a lot of good resources for himself. He was able to get a ton of gold, get full build, but Rookie just was way more impactful from start to finish in this game.
For sure. I'm really excited. Again, this is the start of a best-of-5. Winner plays against BLG and is 2 best-of-5s away now from being able to claim a spot at MSI.
Yeah, and Invictus Gaming get themselves one step closer to doing so. But before we sign off for game number 1, we want to give a big shout out to all of you watching here at home at LPL English. And we're extremely grateful to our Coffee and YouTube subscribers who help level up the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. So subscribe to our Coffee, link in the chat to unlock perks like early access to content, the ability to ask interview questions, and for your name to pop up here once a week. Thank you so much to all of our coffee VIPs. We'll be right back in